Hare Krishna. ओमज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कथामहिं ददति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुश्रीयुतपदकमलान् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललित श्रीविशाख अन्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभारसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। It's not 51 but 52. If I am right. Okay, I think we are more than that. Okay, I'll read it from here. Then this is where we are continuing. The devotees working closely with Srila Prabhupada did not think he was deteriorating. No matter how he appeared, he was just giving them another opportunity to serve him. If he wanted to eat or didn't want to eat, if he was pleased or displeased, if he appeared well or ill, they would respond accordingly out of duty and love. This mood was becoming increasingly prominent as Srila Prabhupada more and more depended on his disciples to help him carry out all his functions. He had said he was remaining in the world only to satisfy his disciples' sincere desire to serve him. Yet he continued to emphasize that their service to his physical form was not as important as their following his instructions. When two of Prabhupada's sannyasis were taking leave of him, he smiled pleasingly and said, I may stay or go, but in my books I will live forever. When he heard that 40,000 hard-bound books have been distributed in 1 week, he said, if book distribution increases, I will never die. I will be in living for centuries. Tamal Krishna remarked that the book distribution reports were one kind of news that didn't give Prabhupada a headache, and Prabhupada smiled broadly. No, he said, it is my life. But one day, while sitting in the garden with Tamal Krishna, Swarup Damodar and others, Srila Prabhupada became very disturbed and he detected a mistake in one of his already printed books. Tamal Krishna was reading aloud a verse from the first canto which began Munaya Sadhu Prishto Aham. Srila Prabhupada had him read the synonyms. Tamal Krishna read Munayaha of the sages, Sadhu, this is relevant. Pristha, question. Munaya asked Srila Prabhupada, thus he uncovered a thoughtless mistake made by the Sanskrit editors. This is an address. Here, the verse translation properly reads, O sages, but someone has changed the word by word translation to of the sages. Srila Prabhupada became very angry and denounced the rascal Sanskrit scholars. A little learning, he said, is dangerous. Immediately they think they have become big scholar, thinking I shall arrange, and then they write all nonsense. He continued speaking about the mistake for half an hour. He was disturbed. He ordered Tamal Krishna to write at once to the BBT and stop these speculations by his disciples, changing his books in the name of editing. The devotees were startled to see Prabhupada so angry. He was supposed to be peacefully relishing a Srimad Bhagavatam reading here in his garden. Such a change was very serious, he said, because it changed the meaning. Even if the authorized acharyas would make a mistake, He said, it would not be changed. This is Arsha Prayoga. In this way, the Acharyas are honored. By Srila Prabhupada's strong reaction to this one printed mistake, he was again stressing the great importance of his books. Whatever I have wanted to say, he explained, I have said in my books. If I live, I will say something little more. If you want to know more, read my books. Srila Prabhupada was especially pleased by letters he received from Ghanshyam, who was distributing books in communist countries of Eastern Europe. Ghanshyam was a member of the BBT Library Party, which was systematically traveling from country to country all over the world, placing full sets of Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in university libraries. In daring foray into communist Europe, Ghanshyam was meeting with success. On hearing his report, Prabhupada demurred transformed. My books are the real communism, he declared with enthusiasm. I am writing for the whole human society. My psychology, my philosophy is to unite human society on the basis of Krishna consciousness. And that is actually happening. Why is the black man working for me and the white man also? How much potency this boy has. Practically, he is preaching in the jungle. The people do not know the language and still they are giving him standing orders. Prabhupada had said that the only real medicine for him was kirtan, and kirtan he had explained included preaching around the world. And for Prabhupada, who was taking so little food, the chanting of the holy name and the kirtan of preaching reports from his disciples seemed to be not only his medicine but his sustenance as well. On the evening of the day Prabhupada received Ghanshyam's letter, he learned that Gopal Krishna has arrived with copies of several newly published Hindi books. Prabhupada had been lying in bed, but on receiving the good news, he raised his eyebrows and said, bring them immediately. Gopal Krishna entered with the books, and Prabhupada immediately sat up in ecstasy. Years ago, Srila Prabhupada had begun a large Gurukul, a Krishna conscious primary school in Dallas, Texas. But when the Texas state government had begun imposing too many restrictions, Prabhupada advised in 1976 that the boys' Gurukul be moved to Vrindavan, India. The school should be moved to a new Gurukul project in Vrindavan. The facility will be built just to suit the needs of the brahmachari to develop spiritually. To live in Vrindavan is the highest perfection, and to grow up in Vrindavan is the greatest fortune. Even to live in Mathura Mandala for a fortnight guarantees one liberation. In Vrindavan, no one will place restrictions on the school, and it will be encouraged by the government. Thousands will send their children to be trained as human beings and devotees. The atmosphere in Vrindavan is beyond compare, and the Krishna Balram Mandir is the finest in the world. By June 1977, Gurukul building in Vrindavan was near completion, and the devotees managing the Gurukul were contemplating opening the building in the near future. They were discussing how the rooms should be used, including which rooms would be for staff offices and residences. Although Srila Prabhupada had not been consulted on these details, he seemed to know what was going on, and one morning he told his secretary he would like to see the new building from top to bottom. After taking darshan of Krishna and Balaram, he was carried in his chair for a tour of the new building. Pleased with the construction, he remarked, by Krishna's grace, everything has been done very nicely. The second floor was one continuous wide veranda with many connecting rooms. The persons in charge, explained Tamal Krishna, have one room for the residents and one for an office. Very comfortable, Prabhupada remarked. He heard and observed everything, occasionally making suggestions. There should be a flower garden, a fountain in the central courtyard. I think there is no other building equal to this in Vrindavan, he said. As they came to the first floor, Akshayananda Maharaj, one of the temple's manager, pointed out to Prabhupada, I want to keep my office here. That's nice, said Prabhupada. But because we have got a big enough place now, we should not think I shall keep one leg in one place and one leg in another place. And then the whole thing is mismanaged. Don't do that. Don't misuse even 1 inch. You were saying you wanted 500 students, said one of the Gurukul's teachers. So we should keep as much space as possible for students on the floors. Yes, yes, said Prabhupada. Yes, yes, said Prabhupada. This was the point he wanted stressed. But then another devotee remarked, we are going to make administrative offices mixing here both of the temple and the Gurukul. No, said Prabhupada. You have to invite children here. Otherwise, what is the use of building such a big building? Not that we have 36 managers and 4 students. Although Prabhupada's soft voice was sometimes lost amid the noise of construction, and although his comments were made intermittently while being carried from place to place, his message was strong and clear. Now we have a big facility, he said, so bring students. This is the first principle. We have to get the ISKCON students first, said one of the teachers. ISKCON or FISKCON, said Prabhupada. Bring students. Prabhupada's word play made the devotees laugh, but he was serious. It is a Rakshasa civilization, said Prabhupada, and he began mimicking the cry of a typical street vendor. Do rupya, and no knowledge. Krishna says, Tata Dehantara Prapti, but all they can understand is 2 rupees, 4 rupees. Where they will go in the next life, they do not understand. They do not understand eternal life, only how to enjoy this life. They don't understand one line of Gita, yet they say, I read Gita. This darkness is going on, and people are kept in darkness in the name of so called university education. So our Gurukul will be successful. It may take time. Rakshasa means man-eating demon. After touring the Gurukul facility, Prabhupada had the devotees place his chair down once more before returning to his own rooms. With most of the resident devotees of Krishna Balram Mandir, including Gurukul students, gathered around him, Prabhupada made his emphatic point. You are thinking of management, he said. This manager and what rooms to utilize. But my question is, who will you manage? Bring that person. In Bengali, there is a superstition that you should not lie with your head toward the northern side. So one man said, but I have no head. For me, what is the question of keeping it to the northern or southern side? So your contemplation about management is like that. First of all, who will you manage? Simply considering office manager and this and that is not good. First thing is bring students. Then it will be successful. That afternoon, Srila Prabhupada said he would speak to the Gurukul staff. They gathered in his room and he instructed them as only he could. He who was empowered to lead the world organization of Lord Chaitanya's movement. Our next business, he began, is to approach the well-to-do businessmen and tell them, children of your family are expected to be educated with good behavior, good character, and devotion. Chanakya Pandit says, what is the use of begetting children like cats and dogs? They must be learned and follow the Bhakti Marga. We will teach your sons these things. Canvas like that. In the present society, he said, even the prime minister's son may be a debauchee. The demon Hiranyakashipu hadn't wanted his son Prahlad to be a devotee, but to be like himself, a cheater and a diplomat. And today's society was comprised of little Hiranyakashipus. But our idea is to create Prahlads. Srila Prabhupada continued, at least 250 students can be accommodated nicely. Throughout India and the whole world, you cannot bring 250 students. What kind of managers are you? I shall bring 500. Canvas like this. I fall down at your lotus feet. I flatter you 100 times. Kindly hear me. In this way, Canvas, you have to bring students, not just rooms for management. Prabhupada said if the Gurukul was successful and if ISKCON got more standing in the future, the government could take guidance from ISKCON and not allow people to cheat, claiming to be a Brahmana or a Kshatriya without training. These things are now a dream, Prabhupada admitted, but it should be done. I am thinking of so many things, but my life is ending. So keep these ideas. You especially because you are young men. July brought the rainy season to Vrindavan. Clouds began building for the beginning of month, and by mid-July, it would be raining daily. The perfumed odor of Kadamba flower was heavy in the air, and after a rain, the neem blossoms would give off their onion-like aroma. The peacocks, with their full feathered tails, became ecstatic, dancing, cooing, and calling. Sometimes a sudden rainstorm would come even while Srila Prabhupada was sitting on his bed or at his dictating desk in an unsheltered part of the veranda, and his servants would rush out to move him inside as quickly as possible. Sometimes, when rain prevented his using the garden, he would recline instead on the little porch overlooking the garden. But at least the 120-degree heat was broken and the days became more bearable. Prabhupada quietly rested and continued his day's routine, waiting to see what Krishna desired. He would often wake up 6 a.m. and open his eyes to see Tamal Krishna at his bedside. He would then extend his hands, indicating that he wanted to sit up in bed. Tamal Krishna or another servant would then lightly stroke Srila Prabhupada's back while Srila Prabhupada spoke his mind. Very few devotees were visiting Vrindavan and guests were rarely allowed to see Prabhupada. His health was not improving, nor did it seem to be at a crisis point as it had been in May. But because he was hardly eating anything, he was not building his strength. His main treatment consisted of hearing Kirtan, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. One of the topics which Srila Prabhupada dealt with during these days was the conception of a model universe for a Vedic planetarium. His disciple Ambarish, great grandson of Henry Ford, had pledged to donate for constructing a gorgeous museum planetarium in a major city such as Detroit or Washington, DC. Srila Prabhupada wanted to present the structure of the universe as it is presented in the fifth canto, but so far no one had been able to show how it could be done. The devotees who tried were often baffled in an attempt to reconcile the Srimad Bhagavatam's description with the conceptions of modern astronomy. In Bombay, they had brought a so-called Vedic astronomer before Prabhupada, but he had been unable to make even a simple diagram. Modern scientists give no credence to the Bhagavatam's account describing the earth as Jambudvipa, an island in the middle of concentric oceans and islands. Nor do the scientists find mountains as tall as those described in the Vedic literature. Srila Prabhupada cautioned the devotees, however, not to be guided by their own Western prejudice, but to try and understand the universe as described in Bhagavatam. And that was extremely difficult, Srila Prabhupada admitted. When I wrote this, I thought it would not be possible for me unless somebody else helped me. How did you write it? Tamal Krishna asked. And Srila Prabhupada replied, Krishna helped me. I don't know. He laughed. That somebody Krishna helped. Inevitably, the devotees asked, but how will we explain it to the scientists? We do not require to satisfy the scientists, Srila Prabhupada replied. We have to describe according to Shastra. If they can understand it, then they'll understand it. Otherwise, it is not our business to satisfy the so-called scientists. We are dealing with real description. Tamal Krishna suggested that the planetarium would spell the downfall of Western civilization. Yes, said Prabhupada. I want to expose that they are cheating. Their own interest is to make money, and for this they cheat. If you can make this planetarium, it will be a grand success. Triumphant. In early July, some of the devotees in Vrindavan were working on sketches of the universe according to Srimad Bhagavatam. They were puzzled, however, about how to account for satellite photos of Earth, which seemed to contradict the Srimad Bhagavatam's description. Srila Prabhupada's reply was that the scientists were bound up by their own conditioning and could not go beyond a certain point. When Tamal Krishna reiterated that Srimad Bhagavatam's explanation still didn't agree with modern travel around the Earth, Prabhupada insisted that it did. You are prejudiced, he said. You are conditioned with preconceptions of how everything is. It is just like a bull grinding, going around in a circle. He is tied up and simply going around. So everyone is tied up. They cannot go beyond a point and they cannot move any way they like, just like the bull. They have cheated about going to the moon. So, how can we believe them? They want to explain the whole universe, but how can we believe them? Once someone is shown to a cheater, he will always cheat. A gentleman will say, I don't know, but they are not gentlemen. They are lower class. How can we believe them? They said the world was flat. Then Galileo said it was round. And for this, he was almost hanged. They didn't know, and he didn't know. But our knowledge doesn't change because it is perfect. As soon as there is a change, it is not perfect. A few days later, the committee of devotees returned to Prabhupada and said that the question was still unanswered regarding how the Bhagavatam's description of Jambudvipa could accommodate the fact of traveling west from Los Angeles, and reaching India. In reply, Srila Prabhupada stressed that they not concern themselves now with such a minor issue, and he referred to Pacific Ocean as a drop of water. The description in Bhagavatam could not be adjusted within the limits of mundane knowledge. Prabhupada gave the example of how, after returning from Vaikuntha, Narada Muni had told a simple cobbler that Lord Narayan was passing an elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, Narayan is so great, the cobbler had said, but an educated Brahman had said, it is simply stories. Narada had then asked the cobbler, how can you believe that Narayan was passing an elephant through the eye of a needle? Why not? The cobbler had said, I am sitting under a banyan tree. There are so many fruits, and each fruit contains so many seeds, which will each grow into a big banyan tree. Srila Prabhupada said that with experimental knowledge, logic, one cannot understand the inconceivable. Everything is inconceivable, he said, and these rascals want to bring it as conceivable. Don't be puffed up by your so called education, it has no value. One day, while Srila Prabhupada was sitting in the garden hearing some news from his secretary, several monkeys appeared on the top of high wall and looked down at the devotees. Srila Prabhupada had often asked the devotees to chase them, and once he had even asked that a monkey doll be hanged by the neck from a tree to frighten the others. But still the monkeys came. Sometimes the sight of a monkey prompted Srila Prabhupada to remark about Darwin. One time he talked about how Krishna dealt with the monkeys as friends, giving them butter and playing with them in forest. As he talked, small chipmunks would run along the top of the wall, and occasionally a pair of green parrots would swoop into the yard, chirping loudly and flittering within the branches of a bush, and then flying upwards into the sky above the garden. Suddenly, a large peacock alighted nearby and spread his gorgeous purple, blue, and green feathers as if posing for a pleasure of the devotees. While Brahmachari continued steadily fanning him, Srila Prabhupada sat silently. Tamal Krishna, however, had some business which he thought would not be too demanding for Srila Prabhupada. Sitting at his spiritual master's feet, he broached an important topic. Srila Prabhupada, he began, we are receiving a number of letters now from people who want to get initiated. So up until now, since you were becoming ill, we asked them to wait. Tamal Krishna suggested that since the Guru has to take on the karma of his disciples, and since Srila Prabhupada's health was already weak, we should wait before accepting more disciples. He should wait before accepting more disciples. Srila Prabhupada said nothing, and the Vrindavan piece was punctuated by a splashing of the fountain. Then he began to speak. He named three of his disciples and said, so these three can do. Tamal Krishna asked if the devotees in America should write directly to these men for initiation. Nearby, said Prabhupada, and he named three more disciples, leading devotees in Europe. 5, 6 men may divide, said Prabhupada, whoever is nearest. Tamal Krishna asked whether this would apply to both first and second initiation. Prabhupada said yes. So, there is no need for devotees to write to you for first and second initiation, said Tamal Krishna. They can write to the man nearest them, but all these persons are still your disciples. Anybody who will give initiation is doing so on your behalf. Yes, said Prabhupada. Tamal Krishna asked if there are anyone in India that Srila Prabhupada wanted to do this, and Srila Prabhupada added another name. Srila Prabhupada asked to hear the names he had given, and Tamal Krishna recited 7 names. That's all, said Prabhupada. Now you distribute. For the time being, 7 names. Then he added 2 more. So without waiting for me, said Prabhupada, whoever you consider deserves, that will depend on discretion. Srila Prabhupada said nothing else, and after a few minutes, Tamal Krishna asked if Prabhupada would like to hear Kirtan. Srila Prabhupada assented by a slight gesture, and the chanters who had been waiting came to join him. The next morning, Srila Prabhupada added 2 more names, making a total of 11 disciples who would act as Ritvik or representatives of the Acharya. Srila Prabhupada had not liked the idea of newcomers to ISKCON having to wait unnecessarily long to be initiated. Now, initiations could continue regularly at the discretion of his 8 selected men. July 10th, Tamal Krishna received a phone call from Gopala Krishna. The Mayapur temple had been attacked by a gang of 300 dacoits, hoodlums. 5 devotees were wounded and in the hospital. Bhavananda Goswami had fired a shotgun at the attackers, injuring 2. The police, who didn't arrive until 2 hours after being called, had arrested Bhavananda and put him in jail. Srila Prabhupada became disturbed. If the dacoits attacked and we used our shotgun, he said, what is wrong? Later that day, Prabhupada heard the Hindustan Times versions of the attack. According to the news report, some cows had wandered onto the ISKCON property and the devotees had beaten the cows. This had angered the villagers, who, on coming to the temple to complain, had been shot at. 2 had been injured. The article named Bhavananda Goswami and at the end mentioned that the founder of the temple, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, had not been present. Srila Prabhupada heard the article, made a few comments, and went on with his afternoon's writing and translating as usual. But late that afternoon, he called for Tamal Krishna. I am afraid of a big conspiracy, he said. The last line of the article says that the founder Acharya was not present. They were sorry. They would have arrested me and put me in jail. Tamal Krishna scoffed that the news article was one-sided. That doesn't sound right, he said. And the devotees beat the cows. Devotees don't beat cows. Within a few days, a letter came from Gopal Krishna giving the facts of the Mayapur incident. About 50 Muslim men were stealing crops from ISKCON land. When Nitai Chand tried to stop them, they attacked him, cutting his head in 3 places. Later, while he was being treated in the temple infirmary, the men came and beat Nitai Chand and stripped one of the ladies naked. Meanwhile, another 250 men attacked, breaking the gates, cutting the phone and electric wires, and destroying the water pumps. Wanting to scare the mob, Bhavananda had fired a shot in the air, but when they did not disperse, he fired another shot, injuring 2 men. In the meantime, the attackers had broken both hands of one of the Gurukul teachers and beaten many other devotees. 2 hours later, the police arrived and recommended the devotees go to Krishna Nagar police station, 20 miles away, to file a complaint. When the devotees had reached the station, they had been arrested, and the 2 seriously injured devotees were denied medical treatment. Bhavananda Goswami was still in jail. Prabhupada said it was a plot to drive away the Hare Krishna men. They want that all Bengal be completely godless, he said. When Tamal Krishna suggested that this incident would hurt their village preaching, Prabhupada replied, no, it will be to our favor very soon. I think the central government will take action. This is the same as Kamsa against Krishna. Krishna must win. No one can defeat Krishna. If I have been there, they would have charged that I ordered the shooting and arrested me. Now I am an old man. I cannot take an active stand. So everything. You all must do everything carefully. Prabhupada continued to think and comment on the incident. The Gunda class doesn't like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, they say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made people emasculated. In Odisha, they say that after Maharaj Prataparudra met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lost his Kshatriya strength. He was very powerful king, but after he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became effeminate. Hmm. What is our reply to that? Asked Tamal Krishna. What can you reply? Said Srila Prabhupada. If you conclude something like that, they have no idea of spiritual life. They say this is disruptive. Lord Chaitanya is saying, Na dhanam na janam. We don't want such things and they want them. So how can we reply to such people? Everyone wants this and we say that we don't want this. How can you make a compromise with such people? In your country also, they say, what is wrong with illicit sex? What is wrong with intoxication? They say we are brainwashing, is it not? It is very difficult to push on this movement. Still, we are doing. That is Krishna's grace. Seeing that Srila Prabhupada was disturbed, Tamal Krishna suggested, will you try to translate this afternoon, Srila Prabhupada? But Prabhupada continued on the same point. A young, beautiful woman comes at the dead of night to see Haridas Thakur to offer her body, and he denied. Who will appreciate this? We appreciate, said Tamal Krishna. You appreciate, said Prabhupada, but in the modern world, who will appreciate? Prabhupada continued pointing out the irrevocable split between the devotees and the non-devotees. Their idea is that a young man cannot live without a young woman, and yet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Oh, you are after a young woman? That is more dangerous than drinking poison." As Prabhupada spoke of Mayapur devotees who had been willing to sacrifice their lives for Krishna, he became choked with emotion and began to cry. Krishna will give them protection, he said, our Mayapur men. He mentioned how Haridas Thakur had been put into jail and beaten, and how Prahlad Maharaj had been tortured until Lord Nrsimha has appeared. Don't be worried, said Srila Prabhupada, crying and speaking as if all his Mayapur devotees were directly in front of him. Krishna will protect you. We are doing our best as far as our intelligence goes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that in every nook and corner of the world, this movement should be pushed. We are limited. In an attempt to ease Prabhupada's sorrow, Tamal Krishna started reading the latest report from Ganesham, who was distributing books in Eastern Europe. The report of extraordinary success drew Prabhupada's attention away from Mayapur. He smiled and said, that is dynamic. Tamal Krishna continued reading the report. Everywhere we go, people either know about you or they are very eager to find out about Krishna and yourself by reading your books. Anyone who has distributed your books in the communist countries will support my claim that nowhere in the world are people more appreciative of your books. Tamal Krishna looked up from the letter and commented, he has been everywhere, Prabhupada, and he says that your books are more appreciated in the communist countries than anywhere else in the world. Yes, said Srila Prabhupada, they are hungry. A few days later, a full on the scene report came in the mail from Jayapatak Swami in Mayapur. The local Hindus of Mayapur were outraged at what had happened and were mobilizing mass petitions in support of ISKCON temple. Although the newspaper reports were false, gradually people were learning the facts. Jayapatak reported vivid details of Bhavananda and other devotees being marched through Navadvip in chains on their way to court, and the people of Navadvip offering them respects. The devotees were still in jail, he said, constantly chanting Hare Krishna. On the whole, the report was optimistic. Prasad distribution was continuing in Mayapur, book distribution in West Bengal was increasing, and the preaching parties were well received wherever they went. Srila Prabhupada's prediction was coming true. The incident was turning in the devotees' favor. He commented that the enemies had thought they were digging up a garden snake by attacking Krishna's devotee, but they were finding that they had, in fact, unearthed a cobra. July was a good month for Srila Prabhupada's work on Srimad Bhagavatam. He continued dictating very early in the morning and in the afternoon, completing chapters 8 and 9 of the 10th canto. It was his great pleasure to do so. Working on Srimad Bhagavatam, he was completely transcendental to his physical condition, despite the accompanying heart palpitations and despite his faint voice and general weakness. Even to sit was difficult, and yet once he began working, nothing could stop him. Speaking into the hand microphone of his dictating machine, oblivious to his bodily condition, Prabhupada described patiently and methodically how Nanda Maharaj's family priest Gargamuni performed the name-giving ceremony for baby Krishna. In his purports, Srila Prabhupada often spoke from his personal experiences and realizations. This is the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotee also have the same mission. One who executes this mission of para upakara, performing welfare activities for people in general, is recognized by Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being very, very dear to him. Nacha tasman manusheshu kaschin me priya kritam kritamaha. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has advised this para upakara, and he has especially instructed the inhabitants of India. On the whole, the duty of a pure Vaishnava devotee is to act for the welfare of others. Sometimes sitting in the pre-dawn open air on the second floor veranda, and sometimes in the humid heat of bright afternoon. Srila Prabhupada's work describing the limitless Vedic knowledge just as his predecessors, the Goswamis and Krishnadas Kaviraj, had done when worshipping Krishna and Lord Chaitanya while living in Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada, however, was the first great acharya to make Krishna conscious literature available to persons of all countries throughout the world, regardless of birth, status, or previous character. Even as he composed the latest chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, thousands of young men and women were working on his behalf to preach the Vedic message to the world. His disciples were in fact keenly aware of how Srila Prabhupada was producing the 10th canto purports in Vrindavan, and they prayed to Lord Krishna that he be allowed to continue for many years so that he could complete entire Srimad Bhagavatam. In explaining the infant pastimes of Lord Krishna, Srila Prabhupada described an entirely transcendental mode of consciousness beyond material designations of babyhood or old age. All these pastimes of Krishna and the great enjoyment exhibited by the mothers are transcendental. Nothing about them is material. They are described in Bharma Samhita as Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. In the spiritual world, there is an anxiety, there is crying, and there are other feelings similar to those of the material world. But because the reality of these feelings is in the transcendental world, of which this world is only an imitation, Mother Yashoda and Rohini enjoyed them transcendentally. Srila Prabhupada was now rendering a particularly sweet part of Krishna's pastimes, and with relish he described Krishna's stealing butter and feeding it to the monkeys, and his showing the universal form to Mother Yashoda. In describing how the vision of Krishna's universal form was beyond Mother Yashoda's comprehension, Srila Prabhupada shed light on all incomprehensible situations, including his own. She, Mother Yashoda, could do nothing but offer obeisances to the Lord. One should not try to understand the supreme cause by argument or reasoning. When we are beset by some problem for which we can find no reason, there is no alternative than to surrender to the Supreme Lord and offer our respectful obeisances. Then our position will be secure. This was the means adopted in this instance also by Mother Yashoda. Whatever happens, the original cause is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the immediate cause cannot be ascertained, let us simply offer our obeisances at the lotus feet of the Lord. Mother Yashoda concluded that the wonderful things she saw in the mouth of her child were due to him, although she could not clearly ascertain the cause. Srila Prabhupada made deep and joyful appreciations of the pure devotion of Mother Yashoda for baby Krishna, and he described her as the emblem of all pure devotees of the Lord, especially the residents of Vrindavan, who love the Lord in spontaneous affection. The pure devotees who inhabit Vrindavan, he wrote, do not possess any bodily conception. Such pure devotees were fully dedicated to the service of the Lord in sublime affection, prema. This had been described by Lord Chaitanya, he said, as the highest perfection of life, pure love in relationship with Krishna. And Mother Yashoda, Srila Prabhupada wrote, appears to be the topmost of all the devotees to have attained this perfection. Srila Prabhupada was concerned that what he wrote, he published and distributed. It was his service to his Guru Maharaj, and he received great satisfaction in hearing that the book distribution was still expanding all over the world. Harikesh Swami, the GBC of Northern and Eastern Europe, reported that he was printing a very large quantity of books in the 13 languages. After hearing only the beginning of this report, Srila Prabhupada explained all the blessings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj on you. You are the most important grandson of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Go on doing like this. In a similar mode, Srila Prabhupada pushed his GBC Secretary for India, Gopal Krishna, to produce Hindi books faster and in greater quantities. Whenever Gopal Krishna came to visit Srila Prabhupada without a new publication, Prabhupada would reprimand him for his slowness. Gopal Krishna therefore began a policy of visiting Prabhupada only when he had a new book to present. In mid-July, when Gopal Krishna brought a copy of Srimad Bhagavatam first canto of part 2 in Hindi, Srila Prabhupada accepted it happily and said, twice now, unless he brings some books, he won't come, because every time I criticize him, where is the book? Where is the book? July 20. Abhiram arrived and reported to Srila Prabhupada about Mayapur. There was nothing new in his report. Later, Srila Prabhupada inquired from Tamal Krishna why Abhiram had come. Tamal Krishna explained that Abhiram had decided to take up business but was undecided which city to work in, perhaps Bangalore or Bombay. Later, after Srila Prabhupada had retired for the night and was lying in the bed under his mosquito net, he again called for Tamal Krishna. Prabhupada was concerned that Abhiram not drift away from the Krishna consciousness movement on the plea of looking for business. Srila Prabhupada said that he himself had lived independently in Grihastha life and so had Bhakti Vedant Vinod Thakur. But our aim was different, he said. When these neophytes remain aloof from the temple connection without attending the functions, gradually they will be lost. Tamal Krishna replied that for that very reason he had suggested to Abhiram that he make his business in Bombay. Actually, said Tamal Krishna, I find the Grihasthas have no desire to live independent of the temple. He explained that in the Bombay temple, the Grihasthas could get apartments near enough to the temple so that they could attend the Mangalarti and other functions. Yes, said Srila Prabhupada, unless these things are continued, the karmi's poison will spoil them. He can do independent business, there is no harm, but he must be connected with devotional service. Said Srila Prabhupada had not moved his body while talking, but he had turned his head slightly. Now he laid his head on the pillow. Just like Abhiram constructed that house, Prabhupada continued, that's all right. It is within the campus, there is no harm. But if now he goes away after so much training and advancement, if they are lost, then that's a great loss for the society. With great difficulty, we make one Vaishnav. And again, if he goes like Shamasundar, then it is a great loss. The whole idea is to give up the attachment for material world and increase attachment for Krishna. That is perfection. Now, according to one's position, it can be done gradually, but this is the aim. Srila Prabhupada told Abhiram that by doing a business in Bombay, he would benefit by living near the temple. Grihastha should not be independent on the society. Sorry, should not be dependent on the society, he said. At the same time, they should not be independent of the society. Srila Prabhupada laughed at the apparent contradiction. This is the position. He said, our society cannot take charge of a family. There will be so many number of families. How we will support? At the same time, if they remain independent of the society without touch, then the karmi's poison will infect them. Srila Prabhupada concluded that the solution for the Grihastha was either to get an apartment near the temple or to live in the temple if possible. They should not live completely independent, he said. That will be future danger. Srila Prabhupada said he wanted ideal Krishna conscious Grihasthas, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He said, there are many. I was Grihastha also. There was a deity worship, everything nice. I was publishing back to Godhead as Grihastha. So the aim of Krishna consciousness was there. I could not leave family life because of certain circumstances. That is a different thing. But I must be in touch with devotional service as in the temple. If you live nearby the temple, it is easier, or in the temple. But if he remains aloof, that is dangerous. When Tamal Krishna brought up some problematic details of Grihasthas living in the temple buildings, Srila Prabhupada stayed to his main point and said, anyway, these things have to be adjusted. You cannot follow very rigidly in the case of Grihasthas. Somehow you have to adjust. We cannot allow them to be lost. Prabhupada saw with alarm that after much training, a Grihastha couple could be lost simply because they disassociated themselves from the temple. It would be a great loss, and in an attempt to avoid it, he was instructing one of his GBC representatives. Prabhupada said, unless this danger was curbed, then the future of our society becomes hopeless. Srila Prabhupada's servant Upendra was also present and he asked Prabhupada about a man's responsibility to maintain his wife and family. A man should not marry, said Prabhupada, unless he had the power of maintaining his family. He should not expect the temple to. Why should we maintain a grihastha? Said Srila Prabhupada. And where is the means? But these things are all to be adjusted. I can give you the idea. Then Prabhupada gave the example that if a grihastha was maintaining the deity worship gorgeously in temple, that was also preaching, and the temple could consider maintaining such a man's family. So the guiding principle, said Tamal Krishna, should be that under no circumstances should anyone become lost. Yes, said Prabhupada. Or else, where is the preaching? It will be like Alexander the Great. He was conquering, but as soon as he went to conquer a new place, the last place was lost. Suppose I have conquered Bombay, then I go to Karachi. But in the meantime, Bombay is lost. That was being done by Alexander the Great. When there is no proper management, just like the British Empire was lost in that way. They could not manage. So similarly, we should not expand too quickly, suggested Tamal Krishna, unless we have proper management. I am therefore stressing book selling, said Prabhupada. He wanted to impress upon his leaders the main outline of his program, and it should be their duty to carry these programs out. At least don't make me Alexander the Great in my lifetime. He laughed. They said to me, you are great, 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 but don't make it small while I am living. Or after, said Tamal Krishna. We'll never make you that way. We should never do that. Then, said Prabhupada, that's my request. People recognize I am great. Don't make me small. I'll not give you much trouble, but I am not invalid. How can I, sorry, what can I do? It seems like even if you are invalid, said Tamal Krishna, it gives us more opportunity to serve you. Thank you, said Prabhupada. What can I do? He laughed softly and said, I have to give you the opportunity. It seems that it is your mercy to us, said Tamal Krishna. All right, go on, said Prabhupada, dismissing them. Jai Prabhupada, thank you for all your merciful instruction. July 22. In the morning, Tamal Krishna told Prabhupada that on the following day, Lord Jagannath would travel down Fifth Avenue in the New York City. Lord Jagannath is very kind to the Mlechas, Prabhupada said. Orients are mostly Mlechas, but still they are made pujaris. One devotee criticized an Orient and Lord Chaitanya slapped him. Why do you criticize my servants? Just see his kindness. I prayed to Krishna. Anyone who has given a little service, please bless him. And Krishna actually does. He doesn't forget any service done. Tamal Krishna inquired, doesn't Radharani also pray like that to Krishna? Yes, said Prabhupada. Radharani says, I am not sincere. Here is your real servant. That is Mahabhav. Krishna becomes a servant to his servant. Um, Therefore, a disciple's first duty is to be submissive to his guru. Srila Prabhupada said, Tamal Krishna, all your devotees are very much grateful to you. Srila Prabhupada suddenly became immersed in thoughts of his devotees and he became very ecstatic. Closing his eyes and rocking his head, he spoke with a choked voice and tears. Oh, your intense love for me. I am living for you. All over the world, everything is going on. Money is coming and being spent, and I don't have to worry. I am so much indebted, and I am taking so much service from you all. It is we who are indebted, said Tamal Krishna. There is no way we can ever pay this debt to you, Srila Prabhupada. That is Brihad Mridanga, said Prabhupada. I am beating from this room and the sound goes 10,000 miles away. Our enemies are surprised how this man is still going on. Srila Prabhupada went on appreciating how people in so many cities were enjoying the Rath Yatra festivals, seeing Lord Chaitanya, Lord Jagannath and dancing and chanting. He remembered past Rath Yatras such as in 1969 in San Francisco, when some of the devotees were dancing joyously around a tree. He began recalling many other past wonderful experiences in ISKCON. Toward the end of July, Prabhupada's health seemed to be worsening again, and again he mentioned that the end might come at any moment. Tamal Krishna had been acting as Srila Prabhupada's personal secretary for 6 continuous months, and he had become Prabhupada's eyes and ears and his spokesman, especially in dealing with ISKCON management. And he had also become a personal confidant, assisting Srila Prabhupada in his transcendental moods. As a sincere servant, he now began suggesting a different remedy. Srila Prabhupada had recently been feeling and expressing intense devotion towards his disciples in their preaching. Taking this as a cue, Tamal Krishna suggested that if Prabhupada could travel to the West and be with his disciples there, he would find new life. But if I die, said Prabhupada, I want to do so in Vrindavan. Tamal Krishna replied that Srila Prabhupada should not think of dying if he would go on a tour of the West, see the devotees there, take prasadam, made from food grown on the ISKCON farms, then certainly he would respond to such devotees and regain his appetite and strength. Tamal Krishna pointed out that when Srila Prabhupada had been feeling like this in May and the GBC had come, he had responded to the reciprocation of love by increasing his own desire to live. One thing you can do, said Srila Prabhupada, in your daily routine, you can pray to Krishna. If I want him, uh, if you want him to stay, please cure him, and if not, please take him away. We are fully surrendered to you. Now it depends on your desire to keep him alive or let him leave this world. Srila Prabhupada was pointing out that he was not a victim of some mundane moroseness robbing him of a will to live. He had already said that he would be with Krishna in any case. Staying in this world or leaving it was not up to him, but up to Krishna. He recited the prayers of King Kulashekara from Mukundamala Stotra. My dear Krishna, please let me die immediately so that the span of my mind can be encircled by the stem of your lotus feet. Now, while I am still strong, otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up, how will it be possible to think of you? Tamal Krishna persisted in his affectionate line, however, insisting that Srila Prabhupada could not think of leaving. There was so much unfinished business for Prabhupada in this world, such as personally seeing to the installation of deities of Radha Rashe Vihari in Bombay temple. Srila Prabhupada admitted it was so and added, another ambition I have is that the populace is suffering from agnosticism. The rascals are suffering, but they do not know why. I want to drive away agnosticism from the world. Tamal Krishna assured Srila Prabhupada that if he were to go to the West, agnosticism would be driven out. The devotees were already working hard on Srila Prabhupada's instructions, but if they could have his physical presence, they would increase their preaching unlimitedly. Tamal Krishna no longer kept himself only in the passive role, waiting for the spiritual master to ring the bell and then waiting to hear what he wanted. Now he was trying to persuade Srila Prabhupada to travel, and as Prabhupada began to consider it, he became enthusiastic. When I am in Vrindavan, said Prabhupada, it is transcendental. That much mercy Krishna has shown me. And wherever there is our center, that is also Vaikuntha. New York, Los Angeles, Paris, or London. Tamal Krishna offered an itinerary, a visit to London, staying at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and also seeing Radha Londoneshwar, then to New York, and seeing the devotees in the ISKCON skyscraper with Radha Govinda, then to farm in Pennsylvania, and then Los Angeles, where he could see the new dioramas of Krishna's pastimes. To remain in Vrindavan is a sentiment. Srila Prabhupada agreed. In New York, if I die, you will have to entomb me on the roof. He joked grimly. There is no other room. If I die, as long as I die among you, you are all Vaikuntha men. I have a dream that Vaikuntha men came to take me. They were all white men with shaven heads. Your countrymen cannot believe how you have changed. Srila Prabhupada said that they should consult an astrologer to see whether it was auspicious for him to travel and whether he could be cured and how long he would live. I was born in the evening at 4 p.m., said Srila Prabhupada. It was Nandotsav. You can consult an old Panchika to see the day. It was on Tuesday. I am prepared to go to the West. Tamal Krishna then quoted from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 37, where Krishna tells Arjuna to fight. Either you will die and achieve the heavenly planets or conquer and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Srila Prabhupada said the verse was appropriate. Throughout the night and the next day, he considered the traveling proposal and mentioned to his other servants, Tamal is arranging a big party. I was praying to Krishna. What is this slow death? Prabhupada told Tamal Krishna. Then you quoted that verse. At least my disciples will know I came at the risk of my life. They are the future hope. I must enthuse them. Krishna ordered Arjuna, and I am Arjuna's servant. I am not so limited to think that this is my country. Everything is Krishna's. Why should I limit Krishna? Tamal Krishna gave encouragement. When you get there with so many devotees who are giving their lives for spreading Krishna consciousness and assisting you, it will be really, it will really be enthusing, and you won't have to speak so much. It's your presence. You're seeing the devotees and them seeing you. So in that sense, it won't be exhausting. It's a good climate now to August in London. It's very good time. Prabhupada turned to Upendra and said, his words are making me feel different. Just hearing, I become enthusiastic. Srila Prabhupada said, Tamal Krishna, by going west, I know you will recover. May Krishna fulfill your words, said Śrīla Prabhupada. He spent the rest of that afternoon hearing Chaitanya Charitamrita readings from various devotees. At one point, he began to express great bliss and said, "Read Chaitanya Charitamrita always to me. These three books, there is no comparison in the world. I may boast like this. I am fortunate to be able to present these books throughout the world, and people are accepting them even blindly." Three books are Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Okay, what am I doing? Okay, this work added. Okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much for making.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. I think, amongst other things, this false narratives being built, I think it's something, if it's happened to Prabhupada, I think,
Yeah.
it is very, I think because we get, bewildered or, demotivated when we hear all these false narratives,
Mm.
be it in the personal or professional side, we say, okay, how can people talk about it like this? But I think, the way Prabhupada also kind of, I think this story is like, the Līlāmṛta is very much, like a booster Prabhuji to life, and a lot of things. Also, Prabhupada was not keeping well, in spite of that, reciting Srimad Bhagavatam and forming the next set of devotees. I think eight devotees, he said, Prabhuji, if I'm not wrong. I don't
Seven. Yeah.
remember. Yes, Prabhuji. So I think, I got it. The final stages, even the grit is absolutely unbelievable, Prabhuji. And I can still see it in all the Maharaj and also in Shiksha Gurus like you. The grit is still there. Somehow I don't see it in other places, but yes, thank you for this.
Yeah, thank you very much. So many things are there.
Correction, Prabhuji.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji. Loud and clear, Prabhuji.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very nice to see, to appreciate Prabhupada, because he definitely deserves 1000% because of what he has given to us. As Prabhupada
Yes,
himself was
Prabhuji.
saying, the treasure that he has given. I can't imagine reading Bhagavatam if Prabhupada wouldn't have translated it in English. Yeah, that is for sure. Because, of course, there were also so many books. It's not that only Prabhupada made it available. There are others. But somehow, when I read a few, yeah, I didn't read complete books, but they were little focused on, only spiritual dimension. Usually people say, but Prabhupada brings it to the time, place, and circumstance. What is the message for us? All that. And that too in a simple English. It's not too complicated. The words used like a thou, shy, all these words which we are not using today.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Those things are not there. So making it easy for us to, to understand.
Yes, Prabhuji. Totally, Prabhuji. And in 40 years, Prabhuji, whatever, Prabhupada has done, yeah, unbelievable, Prabhuji. Yeah. Because I think Leelamrit we can apply to our daily life, personal life, professional, everything, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah, that's
relatable.
that's
Yes,
why I
Prabhuji.
mean,
Yes,
yeah, I think Rupa, when was it you said to do this? 4 years or 3 years? Yeah, it's 3 years. I think we are, close to. And yeah, this is usually we may usually think that a Ramayana or Mahabharata or all these books are so nice. But the way that His Holiness Satsvarup Goswami Maharaj has very nicely narrated the pastimes of Prabhupada, helps us to know how it didn't just happen by chance that ISKCON has become famous, spread all over the world. There is also so much gallons of blood that Prabhupada has brought. tireless efforts, very, very sharp directions, everything. Yeah, and also through that he also, yeah, that's why I see him as Acharya, is that he is showing. It's not like he is at the, demonstrating Paramahamsa stage of like Rishabh Dev or someone, but he is just with people, understanding who is coming from what is the, yeah, like it appears to be a common man, but achievements are amazing, inconceivable.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Also, the way he says, like, Grahastha should not, because staying outside the devotee circle of Sangha truly, it's a big, it kind of takes us away very
Yeah.
easily, Prabhuji. And
Yeah.
he also says how, Grahastha should stay near the temple. I think very, very relatable, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? No.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji, for this narrating.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. So yeah, I think Prabhuji, I heard this that somebody shot was there, somebody shot, somebody attacked. But today, yeah, got to know the real details.
Yeah.
My
Even
hope.
I used to hear, but now it's clear. You know who is Bhavananda Maharaj, na?
I heard Prabhuji. I think I
Yeah.
can remember.
He is Kadam Kanang Maharaj Guru.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So is he still here? I mean,
He's still there in Mayapur.
Mayapur.
Actually, he stepped down from the Maharaj. So he is Bhavananda Prabhu. I mean, I don't know more details, but when that happened, for whatever reason, but then Kadam Kanan Maharaj was looking for some guru whom he can take sannyas. That's how Kadam Kanan Maharaj was blessed with Jayadvaita Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, that Mataji who gave the lecture now on that the program Ram Navami, that Mataji, I forgot her
Devaki.
name. Devaki Mataji. She mentioned this point, yeah, that she got also initiated by Bhavananda Maharaj.
Mhm.
Then she
Approached Niranjan Maharaj.
yes, yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Yeah.
Okay. Then thank you very much. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I think Satish Prabhu will send out soon the flyer. I was thinking to use the both days for Bhagavata Katha to cover Vaman Dev appearance. So, of course, I have to find where is my notes. Few years back, I wrote notes, short notes. It's faster to read, to revise. I'm not finding that. So, might be that I'll once again dive into the Bhagavatam, all the translation purports. But anyway, I'll be ready with something for tomorrow. Yeah. So once the flyer is there, maybe can you share it in the groups where even in Gauradesh also?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Probably I can share it in our groups. Gauradesh, I am not the admin, Prabhuji, so I cannot share.
Not
Prabhuji.
about you. Maybe I don't know. Can you reach out to Rishabh Prabhu already ahead? Tell him that he should do that. Or I think mainly I
We
think
can
he
also post, you know, we all are there in the group.
we are not admins now. We can't post.
I think people post in the group. Or
Okay.
many people.
Whichever, just check then. Yeah. So
Okay.
both of you just figure it out so that the info is shared.
Yes, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, the flyer finalization, we
If
should
you send
also.
me, maybe you send me. Let's see if offline we can do it.
Okay, Prabhuji. I'll send it to you, Prabhuji. Okay.